and I quote, "I'll be there in a minute. Give me a second."
Time is relative, folks. Time is relative.
Yes. So, hey, cheers to everybody in the chat. They're a division rival. I don't care how many wins they get. Screw them.
That wasn't the take I was expecting to hear.
I want to gush over watching live Chris Tanev.
I think that we completely underestimate the skill it takes to play defense.
One highlight or several highlights does not a Calder trophy make.
I'm stepping in here. I'm going to be the crotchety old man here. They need to learn patience. They need to understand the tension, everything, and the drama.
How dare! Look at this! How is McDavid not getting a penalty?
You guys need to calm down with this, okay? You guys need to calm down with it.
Well, hello, and welcome to the Shifts and Pucks News Pack for Wednesday, November the 2nd. You can follow us on Twitter at Shifts and Pucks, Facebook.com Shifts and Pucks, YouTube.com Shifts and Pucks. You can subscribe wherever you get your audio, as well as on the Area 51 Sports Network. As we are live again, continue to try these news packs a little live. In fact, we'll get into the Devils. We'll get into the Devils' victory over the Vancouver Canucks. We'll get in the Kraken were released against the Flames, and there's a pun there that I can't quite get to that I'm working on with the Kraken put out the fire of the Flames, something like that. Anyway, we'll get into that. Very interesting game going on in Toronto tonight, and a very interesting game as well going on in Buffalo, and some news about the CHL prospects game. But let's recap the teams that we follow the closest on the Shifts and Pucks podcast: the Vancouver Canucks and the Calgary Flames. We'll start with the Canucks, down 4-0 midway through the second period, and just past the midway point of the second period. Nico Hischier, Michael McLeod, Dawson Mercer shorthanded, Igor Sharangovich score before Bo Horvat can pop one in on the power play. The Devils cruise to a 5-2 victory over the Vancouver Canucks. I know that it's easy to critique the teams that we follow and microscope close in on those things, but the Devils are a fast team. Nico Hischier is becoming a legitimate center in the National Hockey League. Jesper Bratt as well. Jack Hughes not far behind in terms of becoming a star in this league. A lot of skill up front that overall took advantage of a subpar Canucks blue line, subpar Canucks structure overall, and were full value for the win. You get a power play goal from Hischier, you get a shorthanded goal from Dawson Mercer, you get a couple points for Sharangovich, and of course Miles Wood is causing some ruckuses there as well. And so kudos again for the New Jersey Devils. Fast team, improving team, 7-3, first time in a while that they've won 4 in a row, and considering where everyone had them pegged at, certainly at the start of the year, this is a team that's growing up before our eyes. So it is really good to see. Defense looked good. For the Canucks, the game was a microcosm of the season that the Vancouver Canucks are having. By the way, Sean Tyler last night did a pregame podcast discussing the Vancouver Canucks. Sean at 65%, getting in there, leading the way on the podcast. Tyler following along there. So check that out as well. It was a microcosm of the Canucks season. Ilya Mikheyev gets the first breakaway. Blackwood stops him, and the floodgates kind of fall open here for the Vancouver Canucks, and they have to play catch up again. You're down 4-0, and this is kind of where you are. You lose your first 7 games of the year, you get 2 regulation points. You win 2 in a row, but you've dug yourself into such a hole that this is another loss. And Bo Horvat, he has continued to play well. I really do like the Horvat, Garland, Miller line. And I think a lot of ways that's a good line. And I think Pettersson continues to play pretty well as well. But it's the structure of this team. We talk a lot about the blue line with the Vancouver Canucks, and Ethan Bear makes his debut. Jack Studnicka, by the way, makes his debut, and still a lot of work to do on that blue line overall. But the forwards in general need to be more supportive of of playing defense. Saw a couple of times. Saw forwards stand around on plays here. I think of particular one goal. There was a forward, and he standing around there, not back checking. The structure, puck management, as Sean has talked about, all of that, it continues to be an issue overall with the Vancouver Canucks. And especially when you're playing against speedy teams like Sabres, like Devils, teams like that, the Oilers, thinking of some of the teams that they've been playing against this year, it's just not going to, the way that they're structured right now is not going to work. And it's, that blue line is for sure an issue. I thought Myers and OEL had a really rough game overall. And I mean, you can only do so much with Quinn Hughes, but, looking at the debut, just looking at Ethan Bear, he played 18:01, one takeaway, one shot on goal. His partner Riley Stillman played 18, one takeaway, -1. Luke Shen played 9:01, left the game because of that incident with Miles Wood. Quinn Hughes 26:10. OEL plays 21 minutes. Myers plays 19 minutes. Dakota Joshua just 5:48, by the way. Hoglander, looking at his shifts, 11:51. Just continue for structure issues with the Vancouver Canucks. It's not much different. Jack Studnicka, -1, 902, 2 hits. And I think with Ethan Bear and Jack Studnicka, you're not expecting them to take over the team. You're just expecting some steady minutes. We'll see what happens with them. First game, I'm not going to critique that harshly or say anything like that, but it's tough to criticize the goaltending in Vancouver when the defensive structure is the way that it is. I mean, Demko's doing everything he can. There was I think it was the Dawson Mercer goal. It was a one-timer. Demko's trying to dive to make the save. He's trying to make sensational saves, but he's not been put in a good situation. And so this continues to be the work that happens here. Shots on goal in the game, 37-23 favoring the Devils. 22-14 were the hits. Devils win the faceoff battle 30-22. 27-25 are the penalty minutes. Devils take advantage of their one power play. Canucks take 2 for 5 here. And Jack Hughes, 1 goal, 1 assist, and Igor Sharangovich, a goal and assist as well. Bo Horvat, two goals. Bo Horvat is playing really well. Honestly, I think it's a big decision that you have to make. He's not been signed yet. I wonder if you consider signing Bo Horvat and consider the move of JT Miller was something I'm thinking about. But blue line needs work. I think, frankly, the bottom 6, I think, also needs work. I don't think this forward group is as good as people think that they are, that a lot of people have suggested that they are. I think it needs a lot more work. There's some good pieces in there. There are things that are looking good in Vancouver. There's some good pieces in Vancouver. It's not meshing. That's the ultimate issue here. And they got to fix the blue line. That is the bottom line. And they got to fix the structure, and they need more from the forwards playing a stronger defensive game. And that does not just mean JT Miller. I think Niels Hoglander had a really rough defensive game. He was one I saw that I thought could have played a lot better defensively when I was watching the game. I think they were expecting more from Dakota Joshua. If he's playing 5:48, one of my ultimate tests of how well a player is playing is ice time. 5 minutes and 48 seconds for a forward tells me either A, he was hurt, or B, he wasn't effective. So there you go. But Devils continuing to play very well. They continue on. They play the Oilers on Thursday. And I know that people are all excited about the Oilers and they're scoring at rate. That might be a fun game, New Jersey and Edmonton. And then they go to Calgary. Let's hop to Calgary. And the Kraken took out the Flames. And I've said this a few times, and I will say it again. I think do not be underestimating the Seattle Kraken team. They are a lot better than people think because they are getting players back. A healthier Brandon Tanev, healthy Jaden Schwartz is back. You brought in Oliver Borkstrand, you brought in Andre Burakovsky, and they came away and refused to give up. Zadorov and Alexiak fought. There's some emotion from this team when Carson Soucy scored at first. This team looks a lot more comfortable in who they are. And Joey Decord gets the win, and Calgary gets another 40 shots on goal. But the Kraken were full marks for the win, and they're third place in the Pacific Division. And I would suggest at this point, if I was to rank the Pacific Division, and it's far too early, and I'm not panicking about the Flames, but I'm just pointing this out, they're probably the third best team behind Vegas and Edmonton at this particular point. Will that change? Probably. Yes. But I think the Kraken are not going anywhere, folks. I'm going to tell you this right now. The Kraken are going to be a better team. And just to step back to the Vancouver Canucks for a moment, that's one of the biggest problems that you have with the slow start, is when a team like the Kraken are off to a better start that was not expected to be a better start, that digs a bigger hole for the Vancouver Canucks to dig out of. And the Flames, we'll get to them here in a second. We'll just go through the summary. Carson Soucy scores at 14:58. And then the Flames score 2 quick goals. That was the theme. Zadorov, his second from Toffoli and Lindholm. Kadri, his fifth from Uyghur and Chris Tanev. Then Morgan Geekie ties it from Alexiak at 13:10. Then Tyler Toffoli gets his second point from Lindholm. Lewis makes it 4-2 at 1:34, 1:51. But Daniel Sprong, another sneaky acquisition from the Seattle Kraken, scores on the power play to tie it, and then Yanni Gourde makes it 4-3. Yanni Gourde shorthanded, unassisted on a giveaway. Can we ban Rasmus? I don't care who it is, Rasmus Anderson, anybody. Can we ban that drop pass in the neutral zone back? Just stop it. Stop it. Just stop doing it. Nothing good comes out of it. Nothing. And Yanni Gourde scores his first goal. And Matty Beniers as fifth from Jordan Eberle. And so the Kraken come away with the win. Thought the Flames for the most part were flat. I think there's some people I saw some criticism towards Daryl Sutter about the lineman deployment of keeping and remaining his lines together. Lucic and Toffoli played together, by the way, in Los Angeles. I think a lot of people have forgotten that. Is Lucic a top 6 forward in the National Hockey League? No. Are we trying to find some chemistry? Yes. Yes. Right now, Lindholm and Huberdeau don't have it. Lindholm and Toffoli seem to be developing it. So I don't know if you want to split that up. Thought Huberdeau he said today he was getting better, and I think that's true. Still, Daryl Sutter said he needs to skate a little bit better and he needs to get up to speed. It's just taken a while. I would absolutely not be panicking about Jonathan Huberdeau. This is 8 games into an 82-game season. Just stop saying that this is a bad idea. If you're saying that on Twitter, just stop. It's not true. Just let this guy grow into the position. He's trying to find his footing. The team is generally trying to find his footing on a few different areas, and chemistry is an issue with the team. And just you're trying to find who's playing with who. I thought didn't mind too much the Backlund, Coleman, Dubé line. And a lot of people think that back one line is a third line, but they're not playing as a third line. Like Backlund, Coleman, and Dubé have leading the team in 5-on-5 ice. I believe they're 1 or 2 in 5-on-5 ice time here. They're getting a lot more 5-on-5 time than people realize. So, um, you know, and then again, just you have Ruzicka, Lewis Ritchie. The Flames do need another forward. I don't think that anybody is going to disagree with that. Not ideal to have Lucic and Toffoli together, but you've got to kind of find a way to work things out with this forward group. And Lindholm and Toffoli have developed chemistry, so that's the good sign here. And you're still getting a pretty good effort overall from Kadri as well. But this team also looked like there was felt like there was a lack of energy for the most part from the team in general. Defensively, I think they need to shake up these pairs. I don't think we're talking enough about that. I think that I'd like to see some new pairings going on here. I said this before. I've said it again. I think that this was part of the problem when you're facing when you went into the playoffs and then you lose Chris Tanev, is you don't have everyone playing with someone else to develop and understand that chemistry. And I think that this is a time to kind of maybe switch some things around. Maybe you do Anderson Weegar. Maybe you do Tanev Hanovan. Maybe you do a couple of other things here. But Tanev had a maintenance day today. So not great. This is Flames team. They have 2 more games. You've got Nashville Thursday. You've got New Jersey Saturday, and they need to be on a road trip. I think this is the big thing as well. They need to get on the road. It's a long time to stay home. So, and then Vladar allowing 5 goals. That's Vladar. Vladar has generally been okay. Flames outshoot the Kraken 40-26. They out hit them as well, 24-18, 40-25 as the faceoffs. 13 minutes on penalties. Power play for the Flames, not good. 0 for 4, didn't look great. 12-8 giveaways and 19-15 takeaways for Seattle. But good job for Seattle, who continue to probably surprise some people a little bit. They're sneaking up on teams. The Flames are not sneaking up on teams. Teams are getting ready for the Flames. And that's part of the battle of being a favorite in the National Hockey League, and that's what you're dealing with. So for the Flames, just back to work. Lots to work on, and maybe that's a good thing. There wasn't a lot of adversity issues that were dealt with last year. Injuries were not an issue. They kind of cruised to victory in the Pacific Division. They were all ending up in the battle, talking about individual stats. Maybe a little bit of a stumble around the gate might put this team in a different position for things that they have to work on and concentrate. Was thinking about that last night. So that's where the Flames are at. That's where the Kraken are at. That's where the Devils are at, and that's where the Canucks are at. As I drink my Daryl Sutter Kool-Aid. Anyway, let's go. Let's touch on some games that happened last night before we hop over, because Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, again, another big night as the Oilers beat Nashville. McDavid's on pace for 90 goals. That's just a far too early of a stat, but they've been unstoppable offensively. They allow an early goal, and they're just playing with so much confidence with the puck. It's been a long time. It's fascinating to watch. I think there's something interesting to watch. I'm just going to be watching them in that confidence with the puck and that offense. Scary. Boston, Pittsburgh. That was one game I wanted to talk a little bit about here. The Boston Bruins I think that a lot of people in The Athletic, just reading them, are ranking the Bruins as the number 1 team. They get a goal from Jacob Alako, who, yes, that's right. Jacob Alako gets his first. The Penguins led at this one point in this game 5-2. and lose. Brad Marchand gets a power play goal. Hampus Lindholm. Did you know that Hampus Lindholm is third in scoring in the defenseman in the National Hockey League? He had a 3 assist. He had a 4-point night. Hampus Lindholm. People talked about that $8 million deal. That was a great acquisition for the Boston Bruins. Pavel Zacha has been contributing. So Boston continues to impress. Something is up in Pittsburgh. Last little weeks here, that defense looks either a combination of old and young. You've got P.O. Joseph is 20, Marcus Pettersson's young, and then you've got Petrie, who's older, Chris Letang, older. Something's not right in Pittsburgh. I'm going to keep saying that. They're stumbling along here, and I just still wonder about Mike Sullivan. And Erik Karlsson has revived his career. He gets a hat trick despite the fact that the Sharks lose to the Ducks. He's come back, and he is playing really well, playing a lot more confidently. Probably right now the comeback player of the year, early nomination for me on that. So there we go. But there are 2 games tonight in the National Hockey League. And I think both are interesting for different reasons. Philadelphia is in Toronto. Philadelphia is off to Philadelphia has been off to a pretty good start. They're coming in with a record of 5-2-2, even though John Tortorella is not entirely enamored with the way that they're playing. They're winning, and that's good, but they need some work, and that's also good for that team there. So coming in against the Leafs team that had a rough trip in California. They have lost to teams that they should have won. They've lost to Arizona, Montreal, Anaheim, and San Jose. That's their losses coming in here. 4-4-2. The pressure cooker is on. There's 2 markets that the heat is on right now. It's Vancouver Canucks. When they lose, it's a different market. And the Toronto Maple Leafs, when they lose, it's a market as well. And I just not sure where the Leafs are at. We talked about the missing of Zach Hyman, Ilya Mikheyev up front. I don't think they're as strong as they are up front. Need some work on the blue line. So I want to say it would be good for the Leafs to win this game against Philadelphia. Just take some pressure off. That's the way to say it. I wouldn't call it must win, but it would be good to win. Pittsburgh back in action again. They are playing the Buffalo Sabres. Sabres are impressive. I talked about this yesterday. I wonder if the Sabres could be a playoff team. 6-3 to start the year. You got Rasmus Dahlin leading the way in defense, or second in defensive scoring. Alex Tuch, a revelation. Tage Thompson, a 6-point night against Detroit. Buffalo is playing very well right now and are sitting in second place in the Atlantic Division, tied with Tampa right now, who came back and beat Ottawa. And so that's what's going on there. Just 2 games in the National Hockey League tonight. Just some other things going on in the National Hockey League. Was quiet. Casey Kazikas was fined for goaltender interference as he was fined $5,000 for goaltender interference last night. And so that's one news story. St. Louis, they have stumbled out of the gate here as well. Doug Armstrong spoke to the media. I wanted to hear yesterday. They're off to a 3-5 start. They're currently in last place in the Central Division. They are, yes, that's right. They are behind the Arizona Coyotes and the Chicago Blackhawks. Probably not what people were expecting from the from the St. Louis Blues, pardon me. But they're not. Doug Armstrong says they are not considering a coaching change. They've lost 5 straight. Trust the process, they say. But St. Louis is going to be an interesting team. I think Ville Husso was a loss for this group. Not because Ville Husso is the best goalie in the world, but I don't know what to trust in Jordan Binnington. One day he will stand and shine it on his head. The other time he will flop and stumble, and then another night he will just spend the night trying to get into a goalie fight. I'm just not sure what to get from Jordan Binnington. Blue line has taken some hits here. It's an interesting look that they decided to give Jordan Kyrou and Robert Thompson long-term contracts, and they didn't do that to Ryan O'Reilly, and I'm still kind of curious about that as well. But the Blues are stumbling along a little bit there as well. And yeah, let's get back to Casey Kazikas here. Sorry, he was fined the maximum for goalie interference last night, which was $5,000 in the game last night, and so, which is goalie interference. We could do a whole podcast on goalie interference. What is it? We don't know what it is. It was against Alex Stalock last night in the Islanders Chicago game. Early in the first, major penalty, game misconduct. Stalock is in concussion protocol, by the way, for that after that hit. So, and Jeremy Swayman was injured last night for Boston as well. And so Keith Kincaid has been recalled. He replaced Linus Ullmark in the second period and then got injured. And so Keith Kincaid up. Minnesota, Jordan Greenway has been out. The Wild are expecting 11 forward, 7 defensemen against the Kraken. They're without Brandon Duhaime, Marcus Foligno, Ryan Hartman, Jordan Greenway, all because of upper body injuries. And so Greenway will be back. So that is good news for Minnesota. And that is the news there. And looking at the CHL, we'll start with the news of the Prospects game. And I think if you're a Connor Bedard watcher, by the way, he's coming to Vancouver on November 25th. It's another opportunity to see him in January, as the top Prospects game will be in the Langley Event Center. It will involve Henrik and Daniel Sedin as celebrity coaches. They'll be supported by Brent Seabrook, Stan Smeal, Ron DeLorme, and Giants head coach Michael Dick. And that's the news coming out of that. And the rankings come out today. It's Wednesday, rankings, CHL. And it's been typically the Winnipeg Ice that have been number one the last few times here. So we'll have a look at that here as we look at the rankings here of the rankings. Don't quite see them on Twitter, but I think most of this day has been about the Prospects game and those analysis and all of that as well. So in terms of the WHL games tonight, we've got 4. We've got Everett taking on Brandon. We've also got the Tri-City Americans in Saskatoon to take on the Blades. Vancouver Giants in action in Swift Current, and Prince George is in Portland. Those are the games. Quick look at the standings. Western Conference, Seattle Thunderbirds continue to lead at 10-1. Portland Winterhawks 8-1-1. Second, Silvertips 8-5. And then the Blazers are at 7-3-1. Blazers, of course, hosted the Memorial Cup. The Red Deer Rebels are in second at a 13-0 record, but they are the only unbeaten team in the Western Hockey League. Winnipeg is 14-1. Blades 10-3. Warriors 8-5 to start the year so far. That is what's going on in the WHL, and we will close out and see what's going on in the AHL as American Hockey League action here. You've got see what the games there are doing as we've got Toronto taking on Laval, Providence taking on Utica. You've got Syracuse and Rochester, Tucson taking on the Calgary Wranglers tonight. San Jose taking on Bakersfield, and Milwaukee beat Rockford 6-4. Looking at the standings, by the way, the AHL. Try to do this a little bit more as we go on here. In the Atlantic, Wilkes-Barre 6-0-1 and lead the way. North Division, Toronto Marlies are leading with a 5-2 record. Central Division, the Manitoba Moose. Remember them, 5-1-1, leading the Central Division. And in the Pacific, the Ontario Reign, 6-1, leading the way. Wranglers 2-4 to start. Abbotsford 3-2-0-1 to start here, as that is the AHL story. What is going on there? And that is the news for today. Again, reminder, Sean Tyler did the Canucks podcast. Devin and I, yes, Devin is scheduled to join me tomorrow to do a Flames recap. We'll talk about what's going on with the Flames. We haven't heard from him in a while. Want to get into the Leafs with him as well, because we haven't had a chance to talk to him as that. He's a Leafs follower. We'll see what's going on there. And we always like to just chat about other NHL as well. So we'll be doing that tomorrow. Join us for that. Follow us all individually. Tyler, TNOBLE, Sean, Beardy Canuck 03, Christian Schneid's, SCHNEIDZ, Devin Gordhowe 09, I am KEVLE. Shifts and Pucks, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. Subscribe wherever your audio. As well, get a Jim Fireside podcast to follow as well. They put out their Flames podcast every Monday. Also, we are also always part of the Area 51 Sports Network. So we thank you for watching. We thank you for listening. We'll talk to you all very soon. Bye for now.